Well, here we are. This is it, part three. And today it's all about humor. We're back with Cortney McDermott, and we are going to tell some great stories today about being on Richard Branson's private island and having revelations. We're going to talk about this serious culture that seems to be everywhere. And then why is it so important for high performers to have fun? It is one of the truths out there, especially in corporate America, and I can't wait to dive into it today. So good morning, Cortney. How are you?
Good morning, Matthew. I'm great. How are you?
I am ready to laugh. I added a little bit of humor. I've added some laughter into the podcast today. So it's just sporadically, I'm going to sprinkle in some laughter to make sure that everybody's having a good time. Because I got to be honest, I stopped having fun in a really fun job. And I know you can relate to that. And I can't tell you how it happened. I can't even tell you why it happened. But I can promise you this. I freaking love to have a good time and laugh. And I had stopped doing it. And maybe we'll dip into a little bit about the whys and the hows of all of that stuff. But before we started taping, you said something so cool. You said, you know what? I'm committed to humor right now. And so let's start with that. What do you mean you're committed to humor? Like every night going to a different comedy show? What are you talking about?
Basically, last night I was watching Steve Chappelle. That's his name, right? Or
Dave Chappelle?
Dave Chappelle. Thank you. Oh my God.
Did you watch Dreamers?
Please forgive me. Yes, I watched Dreamers. It was amazing. So good. Yes.
Oh my God. I love that special so much.
Love
okay.
him. And then every night almost every night, I've been watching stand-up comedy. I think it was partly in preparation for our show. No, I'm joking. It was actually truly because I really want to laugh a hell of a lot more. Like I laugh a lot, but I want to laugh so much more. And I've been diving into comedy. I watched some really great stuff over the last couple weeks. Yeah.
Who are you? You and I have yet to meet in person, but we are living the most parallel lives right now. You don't even get it. I just watched Dreamers 2 nights ago. And in the last 3 weeks, I've logged on more comedy specials than I have in the last 3 years for the same reason. I'm like, I just want to laugh.
Yes. You're kind of freaking me out right now. And yes.
I know it's really crazy, but I will say, and this could get heavy. And so if it does, let's just jump in. But okay. Dave Chappelle in the new Dreamers special says something so profound at the end that if you haven't watched the show yet, I promise I'm not ruining it. But this idea of you have to know when people are in your movie and you have to know when you're in somebody else's.
Yeah.
And that freaking blew my mind and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I'm still thinking about it 2.5, 3 days later, this idea of when am I in somebody else's movie and when are they in mine?
Okay, you're tripping me out right now because I just had one of my client calls right before this, and I was telling her that specific piece of the Dreamers was what impacted me so profoundly, and it was hilarious and also super insightful, and also you're the dream and the dream and the dream and the dream, and it's you talking to you, trying to amuse you, and it's just hilarious and also kind of could make you a little crazy if you go into the metaphysics of it. So yeah, that's wild.
What did you take that to mean? Did you like immediately, like I did? Did you start cycling back to certain situations in the last 6 months, year, something like that, where you kind of like thinking, was that my movie or was that their movie? Like when I'm coaching my high school students, I'm like, am I in their movie? Are they in my movie? Like now I'm trying to figure out whose movie it is all the time.
For me, I've experienced this multiple times, like the melting into someone. I don't know how else to describe that. It's when I no longer feel in any way where that person stops and where I start. And I think this is kind of the truth that we know through science as well. You know, if we look at it from even a quantum physics perspective of it's all the same stuff manifested in infinite forms, right? So essentially, this is self talking to self, trying to understand self right now. right? So it gets really trippy for me. Like the conversation gets really trippy, but at the same time, it's also so simple. It's literally just, they're like reflections of the same thing. And so you're presenting a certain reflection, I'm presenting another reflection, but it's the same thing. If anyone's actually curious to dive deeper into that from a quantum perspective, I highly suggest the book Holographic Universe. And he talks about a fish in a tank. I don't want to spoil it because that's one of the most profound books that I've read. That gives
What's it called again? Holographic what?
The Holographic Universe.
Universe. Okay.
Yeah, by Michael Talbot. He's no longer with us in the physical, but left such a profound legacy with his work. And I know we're only funny today, but I that's actually the ultimate humor is literally like this stuff is trying to amuse itself, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it all comes down to that, like Leela, divine play. I mean, maybe it all comes down for that. But I know from an individual perspective of Courtney, like we were saying a minute ago, I just want to laugh a hell of a lot more. I don't even care whose dream it's in. I just want to laugh.
So whether it's theirs or yours, you're here for the laughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
all right.
Just along for the ride. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's jump into this a little bit. So part one obviously was about why you don't have what you want. Part two, we got into a little bit more about time management and how to get control back, and that idea of like, I'm going to say no, I'm going to opt out of this situation. Now we're in humor. And so let's talk about one of the things that I set up front, which is number one, this is a really hard thing for certain people to dive into, especially high performers, because let's be honest, if you're really, really a high performer, you're fairly focused, you're probably pretty intense, and you really have your eye on the prize, and there could be almost this notion of like, I don't have time for that, okay? I don't have time for all this fun stuff. I'm here to get X, Y, and Z done. So let's start right there and give me your thoughts and feelings and opinions on why high performers have such a hard time kind of letting their hair down and having a good time. And not all, but a lot.
Yeah. Well, I do believe it's the illusion of control. It's the idea that you need to make everything go a certain way. Otherwise, the sky's going to fall. And I say that from a place of I used to be very much like that. And it actually, for me, multiple times happened by accident. I got so freaking frustrated with myself and my need to try to control what I couldn't control. And every single time that I got super frustrated, it was kind of I don't know if it was just lucky. I was just lucky, but I got to this point of frustration where I'm just like, screw it. Like, screw the whole damn thing. And then it made me a little flippant and it made me a little funny. And then next thing I know, boom, the thing happened every time. So I was like, wait a second, there's something here. There's something to relaxing. There's something to letting go of the idea that you need to control it or make it happen, as is so dogmatized. And the minute I started letting up on those reins, all of the experience that I had and all of the beautiful learnings and all of the things that let me be who I am in the world were there, but they were there in such a softer way that really allowed their matches to come in with so much greater ease. So
here's a question for you. Were you trying to control yourself or were you trying to control the people around you?
Everything. Like, I mean, everything that I thought. It's so funny. And I don't know if I talked about this in one of our episodes, but I find this absolutely fascinating that 99.99999 some odd percent of what's going on, both within us and outside of us, we have absolutely no control over, nor do we have the audacity to believe that we do. Right. Okay. So I'm not thinking, oh, right now in this very moment, my heart is pumping oxygen to my brain and it is, and then my brain is sending electrical impulses down my leg. Like I'm not thinking about any of that and I just let it do its thing and I'm totally cool about it doing its thing. If there's a hiccup somewhere, I'm like, oh shoot, I better get to a doctor. Again, I have no control. Like, hey, I don't know what to do here. And yet there's this infinitesimal percentage, like the 0.0000 whatever 1% that's left over that we say, oh no, well, I can't trust that's going to work out. That I've got to control. The relationship, the job, the promotion, like whatever it is like, if I don't do these 10 things, then that's not going to happen. And for me, when I started to realize the absurdity of that, because it's absurd, that was very laughable in a way, but also just said, again, screw it. Like, again, you talked about Richard Branson at the beginning, and he has that motto, screw it, just do it. And I feel like that's kind of what I got to, was like, screw it, just do it. Like, what's the worst can happen? I mean, we're on a ball of dirt spinning around a star in the middle of nowhere. Like, I mean, what the hell, right? So yeah.
I want to know, okay, this is how it worked for me. Let me see if it worked for you similarly. It's like, I had a lot of fun getting started in my career, and I was all about the ebbs and the flows. And like somebody would show up and I would talk to them. I was really active in my network. And then I got to a certain point in my career where I started to make a good salary. And, I started getting performance incentives in terms of bonuses. And that's when I started to notice, and maybe when I had kids too, but I started to notice a shift in like, okay, like I think I know how this can be successful, and it needs to be this every single day, or it's not working. And so I would try to control my own emotions. I would try to control my own mindset. I would walk through my studio door, and it would almost feel like a portal to me. And I would say, okay, for the next 5 hours, nothing else matters. Just perform, just be excellent. Don't worry about the things that are happening on the outside. Just come here and get in and do the work. And then I tried to control the people around me and the folks that were in my inner circle. And I did so all in the spirit of, I knew better, or so I thought, right? And I like this idea of we're not in control, but I also like the idea of we can influence a moment. So what do you think about when I say that? Because do you think that influence is a better way to put what we're trying to do rather than control? Or how do you feel about that?
Well, I'm glad you gave me a word, because I was trying to find out, because there's a fine line between rigidity and I think what you're calling influence. So for me, for example, there are certain things that I want to do every day, and I want to do them because I know they feed me. They enhance my light. They make me feel stronger. They excite me, right? So there are things that I know, like right before we talked, I had a little dance party. I also had a piece of chocolate or two. But it was like this is what I want right now, is what mama needs. So so those things, right, that I will do because I know, but then a previous version of me would have said, okay, wake up at 4 a.m., take your walk, do this at 5 p.m., whatever, like all the things, and make your bed and do all the things. And this version of me is like super soft around, yeah, I know I'm going to get outside. So someone asked me the other day, well, do you go, because I walk every day, walk or run. I go out in the woods and walk or run virtually every day. And like, do you really do it every day? I was like, well, maybe in a year of 365 days, maybe I go like 350, 355. I mean, I'm outside because I need it. It's my juice, right? But I never know what time I'm going to go. I never know when that's going to happen. It just naturally, fluidly falls into place during the day because it's so important to me. So again, there's like that for me, the distinction was, I'm not going to be rigid about this, but I'm very aware that these are the things that work for me. These are the things that light me up. Like, this thing lights me up. And so I'm going to make space for it.
Yeah.
But
Well, there's this idea of letting go is different from stop caring, right? And so that's when I use the word influence, I think, well, yeah, if you want to get a big job and you just sit on your couch all day long and you say, well, it's up to the universe. The universe will, if it's supposed to happen, it'll happen. Maybe not. But, you have influence in where you can make calls, you can send emails, you can follow up, you can use your network. Like, you can do things to try to influence a situation. I'm just not sure that you'll have complete control over the entire experience and the way that it shows up for folks. And so I'm wondering if you could put a little bit of color on that idea that I love so much, which is letting go isn't the same as stop caring. You can still care about something a lot, but you can be detached from the way it's going to look at the end.
Right. Yeah. I personally, I don't think I'm not doing anything. For me, the biggest distinction is I used to do something from a push place.
Okay.
I felt like I was pushing. I felt like I was climbing up the mountain and, you perseverance and all these things that you hear. And again, that phrase that's been so glorified of make it happen and no matter what and all these things. And the shift that took place in me, and it was a really powerful shift, was I'm taking action, but it's intrinsically motivated. Like there's nothing, it's not because outside I think I have to do this thing or someone told me to do this thing or whatever that looks like. Oftentimes, to be honest, Matthew, I'll just sit in silence and I just wait for instructions. I really do. And then it'll be like, get up and go for a walk. And then I'll get up and go for a walk, or it'll be write to this person. And I'll have no idea half the time. Honestly, half the time I'll be like, where'd that come from? But then later I'll say, holy moly, that was exactly the person that I needed, because it's this peaceful place. And to get back into the theme of today, it's kind of like a funny place because you just say, okay, what's up next? Like what's on the docket? I don't know. What's this going to come out and surprise me, this person here today, this comedian or whatever. That's a little bit, I feel like there's this almost like a jester in us, but also a wise counsel and all the things that offers us the instructions. It's like, do this thing. And I didn't believe in this once upon a time, and I didn't rely on it. And the difference in my life now that I do is just staggering. I mean, I can't, I wouldn't even, the list of things that have happened since I started leaning more into that is, that's just out of this world. So.
And when you're trying to control the situation so fiercely, it's so hard to laugh. It's so hard to have a good time because you're just so outcome focused that you can't even enjoy the process. You can't even enjoy the road, getting there. I always think, and I love to play devil's advocate and get your opinion on, all right, so what we're proposing to people, this idea of, sit, let it come to you. And I talk about that too when I'm in front of folks. Just sit down, let the answer find you. It will. I'll get some pushback from certain folks who will say, that's a real nice luxury that you have to just sit there all day and wait for things to show up. I got to be at the store at 8 a.m. to open up the shop, and I got to do this, and I got to do that, and then I got to pick the kids up, and then I got to bring them to sports, and then I got to make them dinner. I don't have any time to just sit there and wait for the answer to get to me. So I know what I say to those people, but what do you say to those folks who are living in a story that might not be totally true?
Yeah, what I like to work with people on is I call it the time paradox. Okay. So we covered this a little bit in our last session, but it's starting to understand, okay, where are the places in my life where I could start to create more space, and I could start to really kind of hone in and focus in on the things that are really important to me, because those are those things, like I said, those are those life-giving things that are unique to you, right? Different strokes for different folks. They're unique to you. And I find that the more people open up to this, it's a time paradox, because the more you relax around it and the more you say, okay, I'm intentionally creating space and everything, the more of it becomes available to you. And lots of times people look at what I typically get done in a day or a week or a year, and they are kind of flabbergasted. I mean, people tell me all the time, how the hell did you do that? And I can honestly tell you, I have more time on my hands now than probably anyone I know.
Really?
And the results are off the charts. So it's not true. This lie that we've been fed that, there are important things, of course. Like if my daughter calls me and she says, hey, Mom, like I need us to do this thing. I mean, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, she said, Mom, I'm coming down on, we're going to be together on Thursday. I was like, okay, fine, clear the schedule. We're going to be together on Thursday. Like that's it, right? So, and I'm not saying that's necessarily always possible, those things, but what I am saying is that the more you kind of just start to trust and you get away from, and we talked about this last week, but like the allure of this lie around busyness. Like we have put a badge of honor around being busy. There's nothing glamorous about being busy. I do not glorify it in any way. I think I might have mentioned this in the last episode, but I've removed the word from my lexicon. If someone says, you must be so busy, I say, I am absolutely the least busy person you will ever meet. And yet, like I said, so many things get done through me, but it happens in this there's so much less effort involved. And I think that, I mean, you could go back to the teachings of the Tao. I think that's a really great place to go for this kind of stuff. And it's like the Wu Wei Wu, right? Is like, it's a non-efforting. It's life is flowing through you.
Yes.
When we're just not trying to get in the way of it all the damn time.
There it is. And I adopted your philosophy. I want you to know I credit Courtney to this, but I eliminated the word busy from my diet too. 100%. I absolutely did. And what I have started to say, in case anybody's wondering how they can answer questions, what I have started to say is I have so much cool stuff going on. Let me tell you, and then if people want to know more, it's great. But what have you been up to? Oh man, I just have so many cool things happening right now. And then usually folks are like, really, what are you doing? And they want to know a little bit more, but I'm busy. I'm just so busy. It's a dead end conversation. So stop using it.
Yeah. And it's so it's boring.
Yeah.
It's
all right.
Boring. You keep bored with me now.
So good. I love it. So, all right. If you're paying attention, step one about this idea around adding more humor to your life is relinquishing control. Okay. That's a really important step, is like, stop trying to hold on to things so tightly and learn to laugh at them. And I think I told you in one of our previous episodes that I had heard somewhere along the way, the Italians have some saying of live your life like it's in a movie. And where you can, going back to Dave Chappelle, am I in somebody else's movie or are they in mine? Either way, you can laugh at it. Either way, you can be lighthearted about this thing. And I remember I used to be so concerned over how people were going to react to what I would want to do or whatever. And now there's so much freedom in not caring and being like, okay, next. Like, this guy doesn't like that, so where am I going next? And not putting so much weight on how other people feel being and impacting how I feel about myself, and taking a little bit more of the reins. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, thinking or caring about that's the distinction again about caring or letting go of. I feel like when you just say, one of the things my sister said to me once, she said, and I found out that I think somebody told me that this actually comes from AA, but I don't know. My sister was in AA and I didn't know about it, but it's what other people think of you is none of your business. It's just none of your business. Like, just get on with it. And for me, that's been really powerful, because with all the changes we make, with all the new you that we're becoming all the time, it's like, there's not space for that. I can't bother with that in any way. It's just a perception. And probably it's a reflective of my own insecurities in that moment. Right. And so even if that is something that's going on, it's just such a waste of energy. Yes. So might as well turn somewhere else and laugh instead and just go on about doing you. Yeah.
All right. Earlier on, we said we're going to talk about why high performers have such a hard time with humor, and that's kind of it. Step one is because they're trying to control too many things. Let's talk about Richard Branson's Private Island. Number one, that had to be a pretty spectacular experience. But number two, you said that while you were there, you witnessed so much fun and culture change that it left a lasting impression on you. So first question is, did you fly down with Richard, or did you meet him there, or was he not even there and it was you and some other people doing some fun stuff?
No, he was there. He was there every day. He had breakfast, lunch, and dinner with us every day. The dude is amazing. He's very open and in a way like very simple in his, or at least that's the impression I got, like very simple in the approach to just what's in front of him, and he loves to play. And so the days were set up that we would have the mornings for talks. And I was the first speaker, actually. Someone called me the fire starter, and I was like, oh, zero pressure there, right? Like, no pressure. I don't feel any pressure. I mean, these were, I was speaking alongside people like Mandela, so it was really intense experience. And so I have to be honest that I put so much pressure on myself. Because
I would have too. Hello.
I wanted to get it, quote unquote, right. But when I was actually speaking, I went in my flow space. Like I went in my connection. I wouldn't say it was the most connected talk, but every talk I gets more and more. And I would say like the last ones that I've given have felt like almost like I'm not even the one giving the talk. So
I love that feeling so much.
So delicious. It's so delicious. But it did take a lot of, I feel like we as entrepreneurs or we as people who are so committed to refining, kind of like the diamond, right? It's the difference between a piece of coal and a diamond is just the arrangement of the atoms, right? So what makes that different arrangement, like if you looked at it, you would see how I feel like beautiful or symmetrical the arrangement of a diamond is, right? Where you see this kind of chaos in a piece of coal, but really what that's about is like time and pressure, right? So we give ourselves a hard time about putting all this pressure on ourselves, but probably there's a point to that pressure. And I think that shouldn't really be overlooked. I don't think either one of us are here today saying, don't show up with your best self, or don't care about what you do or don't do. Care about what you do and don't do, and then let go. And then relax, and then have fun. And when I saw someone like Richard, who obviously is, I mean, he's one of the most prolific entrepreneurs in the world, if not the most in our times, just playing more than half the day. I was like, well, and that, I have to say that is kind of what I do in a way. Like I don't spend my whole day working at all. I do loads of different things throughout my day. So, but he was specifically committed to play and adventure and fun. And I was like, damn, I want to take a page out of that handbook. I mean, and it's been a process for me. I was just having a conversation with another podcaster. She's a great podcaster out of Dubai. She's like the #1 podcast there in the United Emirates. And we were having a conversation, and she was saying that it was really hard for her to have fun. And she's so lovely and she's so funny naturally and all the things, but she's like, it's so hard. So I wouldn't give ourselves a hard time. Those of us who feel like, man, it's hard for me to have fun, just say, oh, that's because of how much I actually do care. That's how much I want to achieve my potential. That's the diamond in me that's getting formed, that's becoming formed. It's a little bit also like, you're chiseling away, and then it's the Davide emerges, and it's kind of like play with that. So for me, yeah, I learned so many lessons being there. I'm still learning, I'm still absorbing, because I think in the moment it was harder for me to totally fully settle into, okay, now the next adventure. There were so many things that I regret so much that I didn't do because I was maybe, well, like for instance, office tour around the island and around both islands, I think actually also Mosquito. So there's Necker and Mosquito. And I didn't do that because of the timing of it, because it came, I think it was, I can't remember why. I just didn't. And I really regretted not doing it. But in general, I just saw such life there. It was just teeming with life. His team was teeming with life. Everyone was so kind, so attentive, so detail oriented. And yet they were smiling, genuinely, pleased to be there in that environment. And yeah, it's the most magical place I've ever been in my whole life. So
it sounds incredible. Do you think that some adults, we don't know how to play? Like, because we associate it with being a kid, and we think like, well, what am I supposed to do? Go to the park? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, call my friends and say, do you want to have a sleepover? Like, we almost don't even know how to play as adults. And what I love about this conversation so much is when I went through my own mental crisis a few years ago, the man who was the most instrumental in my shift must have used the word play 6,000 times while we were in session, right? He just kept saying, when you leave here, that's your job. The only thing I want you to work on is playing. I just want you to go out and I want you to have fun. Keep playing, play. He just said it over and over again. But adults, I don't know if we know how to. Some of us don't know how to have fun. Sometimes it's gotten so serious. And so do you have any recommendations, things that you picked up from your buddy Richard Branson or some of these other folks that where you can help us understand what it means to play?
Well, I think more than just becoming an adult, it's like a calcification of your life.
Okay.
I came to this conclusion lately because I was like, when things start to calcify, right? When things start to just get rigid and you don't know anymore how to get out of that persona that you've created. And it's so frustrating, but if you're frustrated by it, great. Because it means that you're ready to take some of that crust off. You're ready to do things different. For me, one of the biggest things is I just try different things. And it wasn't always like that, but it was like, okay, try different things because this isn't working. I read a gorgeous quote earlier today. It's if you keep heading in the same direction, there's something like it's really likely you're going to get where you were going. Like, and it goes in both ways. It was much better written. I wish I had it right in my head right now. But it was like if you keep going in that direction, you're probably going to get there. And that's the thing is, what direction are you going in? So I like to trip that up a lot. I trip it up a lot. That's why I'm saying I don't have a time in the day when I go walking or running, but I know I like to be out in the woods, so I'm going to probably get there at some point. But if I don't and I do something else, if I have a massive dance party in my place, great. Like, I just want to move and be in touch with my body and whatever that looks like. But it's really kind of tripping it up. So even recently with the comedy, I hadn't, and I'm so sorry to Dave Chappelle. I mean, he's so brilliant. I should have gotten his name right. Forgive me. But
it's like, that part out and just
good. Please edit that.
Just said Chappelle.
Thank you, Chappelle. That guy Chappelle. Oh yeah, right, Dave. So I was going to ask you. No, I'm joking. Well, kind of not. Anyway, I digress. So I was saying, right, that was a huge shift for me because I used to stand up just wasn't a thing for me. But I was like, dude, I want to laugh. Where do you go to laugh? Stand up. And then I think it's our intentionality because for me, just the invitation of wanting more laughter. I've met really funny people recently. I mean, I met you. I have another new friend in LA who
I love being really funny. Thank you.
Yeah. I met another new friend in LA who I absolutely adore. And she and I just literally laugh nonstop when we're together. It's just like, it goes from raunchy to witty to all the things. She's hilarious. And we have the same kind of humor. And so we just crack each other up. And the other night, I was driving. It's a long story. There was a big landslide here, and I ended up having to take 3 hours to get where normally it would take me about 40 minutes. And practically the whole time I was chatting it up with her, and we were just laughing hysterically. For me, that car ride went like that, and I was just like, "This is amazing!" Right? So it's your intentionality. It's really, I'm ready for this. I want this. I'm actively seeking it out, which goes back to an earlier episode of ours. And then it starts to appear in mysterious ways. Yeah.
Yeah. And might it also be worth noting that if you're hanging around a bunch of Debbie Downers or Davy Downers, like, you might just need to separate yourself from some of these folks who are a weight, because whether you like it or not, like, who you surround yourself with, your environment plays such a huge role in like how you're going to show up and operate. And we do these grief relief retreats here in Phoenix, Arizona, where we take between 4 and 8 people who are really struggling with grief, and we throw them through a whole day protocol. It's a beautiful, magical experience. But one of the things that we're really intentional about is, in the beginning of the day, we say, who are you? Why you're here? Why did you choose our retreat? What are you here to kind of uncover? And they always have one version of their story. They always have like the story that they tell everybody. And then at the end of the day, they write that story down again, then they burn it, and I make them rewrite a new story. And that has to be what they project and what they put out there. And for so many of them, that first version has all these characters in their movie that don't seem to be serving them at all. Like, not even remotely serving them at all. But they stick around due to obligation or family or friends or history or whatever that whole thing is. And I'm not saying what I'm suggesting is easy, but I am suggesting that it's really necessary if you truly want to shift and move into a space where you can laugh more. Because I mean, don't you agree? It's tough to be around. It's tough to laugh when you're around people who are in a bad mood all the time.
Yeah. And I feel like there's work on both sides, and we know this, right? Einstein actually said that the environment is the sole governing agency of the particle. And I used to think exactly to your point that means, well, your environment is going to shape you. It's going to form you. It's going to determine who you are. And then the more I started to realize that there's this inner environment too, and I do have the agency of choice in how I spend my time, like you're talking about, and everything else. I noticed there were distinct changes then that emerged in my external environment as well, as I was changing my internal environment and my commitment to the things that were important to me.
Love that. Love that so much. Okay. So back to humor and back to relaxing and having a good time. I thought it would be an interesting exercise to put the both of us through a little bit of an improv moment. And so if you're down for it, I have a pretty radical idea, which is to create a hype reel for one Cortney McDermott. Now, for those of you that don't know what a hype reel is, this would be like something that you would put together and you would throw it in front of other folks, and then they would get excited about you and want to book you, want to bring you in to be a speaker, want to bring you in to work their workshop, want to hire you because they love what they see. So I've come up with this idea for you and I to create a hype reel, and I'm going to need a few things from you in order for this to be successful. Okay?
Okay.
Are you sweating?
I'm sweating again. Yes. You talked to me about this before. There was something like a surprise improv. I was like, oh shit. Okay, I'm ready.
You're going to be amazing at it. Okay, so what I need from you are 4 sound bites. Okay, and you get to pick them. They can be whatever you want, but they got to be authentically yours. They got to be something that you say when you're in front of people, because I'm just going to be setting you up. Now, for example, I'll open things up like I'm the big voice guy, and I'll say, Cortney McDermott, a best-selling author and TEDx speaker. And then you have to have a sound clip ready to go right then and there, like you're on the stage doing the thing. And then I'm going to say, she's a mind-body expert who speaks 4 languages. And then I think you should say something in Italian or one of the other languages that you speak. And then I'm going to say, Cortney used to be miserably successful. And then you give me another quote that sort of ties that whole thing together. And then I'll send people to your website where they can book you. And then you're going to end with one more closing quote that's authentically Cortney and amazing. And people will want to hire you and bring you in.
Okay. Okay.
This is going to be a beautiful mess. Now, hold on. First,
we can edit this too, right?
We can edit this too. First up, we got to select your theme music. All right.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right. So I'm going to play you 3 options, and you can tell me which one feels like it's me. This is me. Okay. So I'll do the voiceover intro for each one of them so you can get a little bit of the lay of the land. And my line is, Cortney McDermott, a best-selling author and TEDx speaker. Are you okay that I say that?
Mm-hmm. I'm okay with it.
All right. I mean, it's true. So, okay, here we go. First one sounds like this. Oh, wait, that's the laughter. Hang on. Cortney McDermott is a best-selling author and TEDx speaker. That's not you. It's not you right away. You knew it.
No. Yeah, no, I'm not feeling it.
It gets a little bit, it ramps up. It gets exciting toward the end, but the piano is soft.
Because that was a little too,
Okay, too soft. Well, then I'm going to go the completely opposite direction then, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. Cortney McDermott is a best-selling author and TEDx speaker. All right, so that's second. It's got a little bit of a K-pop feel.
The Bulls coming into the stadium in Chicago. Do you have anything like that? Yeah.
So you want to go total hype music? All right.
Yeah, let's do it. Where are we going here? I don't. Those first 2 are not. I'm not sold.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, we only have a third option. Then if this doesn't work, we're going to scrap this whole thing. All right. Here's your third option. Whoop. All right. Here we go. Cortney McDermott, a best-selling author and TEDx speaker.
A little bit closer. Yeah.
Is it a little closer?
Yeah, I'm between the second and the third if I had to choose one of those. Let's do it. Yeah. Let's go with the third one.
This guy here?
You choose between 2 and 3.
Does it feel too corporate?
I think because our theme for today is funny, none of those feel funny to me, and I kind of want to inject some humor
Okay. All right. Well, then everybody just stay with me here because I am going to work on the fly in the middle of our podcast. That's fine. I do this professionally. I don't want anybody to be alarmed.
Don't be afraid.
And I can work this on the fly here, and we are going to find, because I did think about that idea of being like a little quirky, and humorous, and I thought, well, maybe that'll be too over the top, but that's exactly why we're here, right? All right, so stand by here. Okay, I'm gonna pick that one. Holy crap! I love this. Thank you for being such a great sport. I adore you for this.
I love this. This is hilarious. I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah, and this is what the reason that I'm doing this is because what we're doing here is getting out of our comfort zone, both of us, right? We're just sort of improving. We're on the fly. We're not taking ourselves too seriously. And we're just kind of jumping in the moment and having a good time with it. And that's the piece that people forget to do.
Right.
Right. All right. This is a little bit more quirky.
Yes. Yes. This is it. This is it. You nailed it. Yes. Oh, Mathew. Woo! Baby skills.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. And that's what it'll be. That'll be our theme music. And so, like, when I say Cortney McDermott, a best-selling author and TEDx speaker, are you ready for your first clip?
I think so. I think I'm ready.
Okay. You're going to be amazing. Here we go. Wait, why doesn't that do that? Here we go. Cortney McDermott, a best-selling author and TEDx speaker.
He also aspires to be a pole dancer.
Ooh, she's a mind-body expert who speaks 4 languages.
Cosa vuoi che ti dico adesso? Parliamo in italiano?
I love this. What did you just say, by the way?
What do you want me to say right now is what I said. Should we speak in Italian?
Oh, okay. You're right. All right. Here we go. She used to be miserably successful.
And now she's laughing her butt off with Mathew.
Finding her way out of that space and helping others do the same has become her calling and her new career. Find her, meet her, and book her right now at CourtneyMcDermott.com. Last line.
Let's have fun.
All right. So then what's going to happen is after it's not an easy game that I just sprang on you, but what's
the whole thing was really hard. I was like, what do I do want to try pole dancing. I probably won't because it's too hard, but yeah, I was like, what do I say that's actually funny and quirky? But yeah, it was hard. That was hard.
It is hard. And I think do you have a good core? Because I think pole dancing is all about the core.
I don't. That's why I want to do it.
Yeah. More power to you if you can do it.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. I mean, more power to you if you can do it. It is just incredible to see. Like I've watched some folks who get on, and not like just at a strip club back in the day, but like people that are doing it now for exercise and stuff.
Right.
And it's mind-blowing how they can hold themselves on that pole.
Right. That's exactly it. I think the core thing, especially, now it's so important, and I let it. I want to do it for that.
Have to at your next speaking engagement, put a pole right in the middle of the stage.
Oh yeah, I'm totally, and I should get some platform. What kind of? They wear really uncomfortable shoes too. I can't do that.
I don't know how they do it.
I need a lot of practice.
It'd be cooler if you just came out like in your regular attire, and then you shocked the shit out of people and just jumped on the pole and started flipping around and doing dances. That would be amazing.
Right. I'm just thinking of all the next things that I'm going to do. I talked about this in a post recently, like multiple personality order. Like, there's so many things I want to do. So yeah, man, though, I think I really need some practice. I'm going to practice some of this with you. Like, this has to be a thing that we keep trying, because
you mean creating your hype reel?
Yeah, the hype reel. I mean, that was just bad. I wouldn't go to my website after that. I'd be like, what's wrong with this girl? Like, so I wouldn't go there. I need work. I need some serious work on this.
It's all right. We got out of our comfort zone and we tried something new, and the whole time we had smiles on our faces. We were laughing. It was very lighthearted. Like for people who want to add more humor into their life, I wanted to show you this is one way to do it. Just try something new. Be silly. Who cares?
I really do sincerely, I'm not joking about this. I want to try stand up someday. That's actually on my list.
You should do it. Are you
Maybe I
funny?
should have said
Are you
that
funny
instead of
that way?
told you. It's much more likely.
What if you marry the two?
Well, here's the thing. Oh, wow. Well, oh my gosh, the possibilities are endless. But I swear, I don't think I'm, able to do it at all right now. But sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll just have the funniest jokes going through my head. And this is one of the reasons why I'm also really intrigued by stand up right now, because I'm like, do I get up and write these down? I think they're so good. So yeah, it's definitely in my career path. It's there.
I have this I was just looking for it. I keep this little, see if I can find it. I have it in my bag right now because I just got done doing a gig last week, but I have this little, where is it? Of course, because I want to, oh, here it is. I bought this thing at Best Buy, $99, the best $99 I ever spent. It's a little voice recorder. And because I don't keep my cell phone in my room, I keep this by my bed. And in the middle of the night, I'll have some great miraculous thought or funny joke, and I put it on the voice, and then I remember it. So this is a great tool. You need to start writing down your good ideas.
I've been meaning to do that. I'm going to follow you.
Okay. Funniest movie. What's the funniest movie you've ever watched? Do you have a top 3, 4 that you absolutely enjoy?
Okay, so years and years ago, I was Wedding Crashers, and
Yes.
I was literally like peeing in my hands the whole time. I actually had to go to the bathroom a few times, and I made them pause the movie because I just couldn't handle it. I was like, I couldn't. Yeah, I really love those dudes. Yeah, I like specific actors who really make me laugh.
Yes.
Yeah, and I love Jim Carrey's sense of humor, but I love the irony, the depth of it, and that sounds strange because most people probably wouldn't think of it that way. But that dude has so much depth, so it's almost like it's palpable. You can really feel it. He embodies the character, the characters that he just becomes them. It's remarkable. But yeah, I off the top of my head, I can't think of it. But I also have to be in a specific mood for certain kinds of movies. I'm not always in that mood, and that's what I'm trying to cultivate more of, is like being in that mood to watch the stupid, really stupid stuff, because it's fun and funny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I just have a hard time, quite frankly, with sitting, and I don't I have to be in the mood to sit on my couch for 2.5 hours to even take in something like that. It's not something I always enjoy, like sitting and just I don't know. I feel like there's other things I should be doing, which is something I'm working on, by the way. I'm working on, but it is hard for me to just settle in and watch a movie. But I'm thinking like Wedding Crashers is a great one. Super funny. My son just watched Talladega Nights for the first time the other day, which is legendary, funny, humorous movie.
Okay.
Old School, right? With Will Ferrell, just out of control, funny. There's a Pulp Fiction. I know it's not a movie people think is funny, but I find there's moments in that movie that are just absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that the movie I laughed the hardest at in the last 2 years is this ridiculous movie called Cocaine Bear.
Okay.
Have you heard about this movie?
I have not. I'm gonna
All
go
right.
watch it. That's the next on my list.
Okay. I hope you like it. It's really out there, man. It's really out there, Courtney. Like, it's over the top, gory, over the top graphic, but not like in a disgusting, dark way. In a very, you will literally be laughing your asses off as this bear tears people to pieces. That's the only way I can explain it.
That's a little bit like that flash reel that we just did for my I'm not gonna watch. No, I'm like, I probably won't go there. I think I just changed my mind.
It's all CGI. It's all fictitious, but it's so funny. It's the guy from the guy with the red hair, Jesse Tyler Ferguson from Modern Family. And there's a couple other just really incredibly awesome actors in it who make it really funny. But if you don't laugh, that's fine. I don't want you to judge me on it and watch and be like, oh, Matthew's a weirdo now.
Now I know. Yeah, exactly. Now I know what's up with that guy. No, I actually love witty comedy. I don't know if you have any recommendations on that, because even the comedians that I go to, the ones that resonate the most, they're actually also saying some really, really smart stuff. And I think it's hilarious. I have that strange sense of humor in the sense that normally if things are just funny for funny's sake, they won't provoke laughter in that way. But witty humor, oh my God, I can't stop laughing. If it's funny and smart, I can't stop. So,
and there's a lot of good actors. There's a lot of good comedians out there that are kind of doing that whole thing. John, is his name John Malanphy? John Mahoney. He's a really funny guy who literally made his addiction to cocaine one of the most hilarious stories I've ever heard in my life.
I'm writing this down now. Okay.
Yeah. John, I think it's John Mulaney.
Oh, Mulaney. You just gave him 3 different last names, just so you know.
Malanphy, John Mahoney.
John Maloney. You gave him now you're giving him 5 last names.
Oh man, I don't even have this guy's name right.
They're not even going to talk to us after this. We're not going to be in their dreams.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. I'm comfortable with that. All right. Well, listen, I hope that we have made people laugh. Number 1 today. That was actually one of my ulterior motives today, was just like, let's let people listen to a podcast and just enjoy it. Just have fun. It doesn't have to be serious and like life altering all the time. We can just enjoy each other's company and laugh a little bit. Anything from you as we kind of wind down on humor, something that you want to make sure you leave a lasting impression on with folks?
Oh, wow. We're just going to be light, but leave a lasting impression. I just think that, like I said, the biggest breakthroughs have come with relaxing and getting a little goofy. And for whatever that's worth to everyone out there who might be in similar situations that you and I've been in, that we can still find ourselves in, where we're taking it all too seriously and forgetting that this is supposed to be fun. Just to know that actually the relaxing doesn't stop the world. I mean, it actually, if anything, I've seen it's an accelerator for what I want and the life and the person that I'm becoming. So.
Yeah. And the other thing that I think I would love to end on with this is there's plenty of people who are really good at this. There really are. They're like, I know so many people who are so awesome at playing. They're so awesome at laughing. They're so awesome at not taking themselves and other people around them seriously. I just wasn't wired that way. So it's something that I have to kind of step into and learn a little bit. Well, listen, Cortney, it's always a great pleasure and time to hang out with you a little bit. And I can't thank you enough for spending 3 weeks with us and just, throwing all your time away on this podcast for a few weeks.
I loved it. I loved every minute. Thank you so much to you and to everyone who listened. And let's all go laugh and have some fun.
Let's all go laugh.